We got a 5-year plan in the works right now, the 5-year consolidated plan. Joining us now from the mayor's office to talk about it, we've got Laci Sherman and Kelly LeDuff. How y'all doing this morning?
I'm doing amazing. How are you?
How are you, Kelly?
I'm good. A lot of rain, but I don't know. I like it.
So we're like, I don't even have a window in here right now. You got to go through the curtains and the blinds and everything. So it is coming down.
Yeah, and if you turn off the lights, I'll probably go to sleep in here right now.
Okay, so it's that kind. It's the lazy rain.
It's that kind of rain.
It's the lazy rain. I like the lazy rain. That being said, though, everybody's behaving on the interstates. Though that's
The new College Drive exit is amazing, right?
Took it for the first time yesterday. It was my first because I come downtown. I very rarely take the interstate at all. I like to take Florida Boulevard to come downtown. I live in Sherwood. Yeah. Come downtown, I take Florida Boulevard, just straight shot. And yesterday we're going to play a volleyball game with St. Aloysius. Nobody cares about this, but it was my first time taking the new College Drive exit, and oh yeah,
it changes things.
Oh yeah. I mean, I drove past it every day over the last, or just about every day over the last couple of weeks. But man, it's a game changer there.
It is.
All right. Office of Community Development has got looking for public feedback right now. What are we doing? What are we looking for?
So over the course of next week, and we've been doing this process for about a month or so, just gathering input as far as what is a priority for the community when it comes to funding that we receive from Housing Urban Development. And it allows us to do community projects, programs, address certain areas such as blight, crime prevention, activities. And so the workshops will allow input and engagement directly from the community, and so as the surveys.
All right, workshops are coming up. Actually, I believe next week is the first one.
Yes.
Or I know both of them are next week. Next Tuesday is the first one.
Yes, next Tuesday is the first one. It will be hosted at the Goodwood Library. And we're also partnering with our council representatives for those that may not have the transportation, and we're having some prints available so they can do them on site at their facilities, community facilities. The second will be on Thursday at the Breck location headquarters.
Yeah, Womack over there for Florida Boulevard, right near right across the street from that Rouse's.
Yep, correct.
Absolutely. You would think intuitively, you would think a 5-year plan means we do this every 5 years. Do we do this every 5 years?
In fact, we do. So okay. We are wrapping up our our last 5-year plan. And what the 5-year plan allows us to do is have a strategy that is open to the public. And so when we're rolling out different notifications for funding, it is in alignment with our 5-year strategy. Mm-hmm. And so this is something that we share across the board. It'll be open and also visible on our website so that we can have our resource partners who we most time also, do subcontracts with to allow them to understand how to work best with our office as well.
Now, there's a lot going on when it comes on the feedback front right now. I want to make sure we're very clear. This 5-year plan is not the same thing as Plan Baton Rouge Phase 3. Yes. That's a completely different thing right now. So
different thing, but for the first time that I've seen in a long time, we're getting out of the silos, right? Yes. As director of OCD, that was one of the first things. And I have to admit, I spent my first, month or so on the 3rd floor with Coach. He prefers Coach than Mayor, right? If you tell him he's a politician, he might try to fight you. So anyway, I don't think I fully understood what OCD could do. Mm-hmm. And when I got up there and I met the team, I was mind blown, right? Like everything we care about is affected.
Expound on that. Continue.
So, yeah, literally. So first thing was we got rid of the silos. In the past 2 weeks, and Laci can tell you, I bought some of Baton Rouge's most prominent individuals on the 7th floor, and they're like, "This is my first time here." Really? Right? Yeah. And I mean, if I told you the names, you'd be like, "That's impossible," right? So when you start talking about crime, blight, homelessness, which that's our 3 pillars. Mm-hmm. I think everyone cares about that. We fund those things automatically, right? I mean, rehabbing homes, taking blighted property, turning it into something viable, taking empty lots. Yesterday, we did a deal with a group, 4 or 5 empty lots, North Acadian, East and West, and they're turning those into homes for single mothers with children, right, at 0% financing. So when you really start to get out the silos and work with other groups and do some funding matching and some strategizing, I think it's a game changer.
The connections between blight and crime are kind of a big deal, and they're impossible to ignore. That being said, though, the fight against blight is never a quick one. So how are we? And I know that Senator Rick Edmonds' bill moved forward yesterday, which is going to be a help if it crosses the finish line. But when it comes to that, the two things going together with blight and crime, it's such a slow battle.
Yep. And I'm gonna tell you. So in my previous life, I did consulting and safety consulting for industries all over.
What does anyone with a last name like LeDuff know about fighting crime?
Probably not much, right? We call it the broken windows theory in the industry, and it truly is, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you pass by a business and it looks broken and it looks unkept, chances are you could break into a car or mug somebody leaving, and it may not turn anything, right? If you look like you care about your property, if you look like you care about your building, chances are somebody's always watching and somebody cares, right? Blight is slow to move because of processes. That's no knock to anyone. I think that's one of those. Once I had Rachel and the Blight team explain it to me, I was mind blown, right? The back and forth, the legalities. It's a heavy lift.
Determining ownership.
It's a heavy lift.
Yeah.
Right. But I also understand how important it is for people to keep their family homes and understand what's happening with their home. So I think there's a delicate balance, but from poverty to profit.
Okay.
Is where we fix crime, right? We are not going to police our way out of this. We're not going to arrest our way out of this. Of course, there's some individuals we know need to be off the streets, and we got a plan on that. But the wraparound services, right? We're not going to throw darts all over the board for this administration. We're picking key areas of town. We're working with partners. We're coming up with a plan, and we're throwing darts at one place. And when we see results there, we go to the next place, right? But I'm gonna give you an example. During one of the storms, we received ARPA funding and all kind of other federal funding, rental assistance. I think it's a great program. But if all I do is give you rental assistance for 15 months, have I really helped you if at that 16th month you're evicted, right?
That's the age-old adage, if you teach a man to fish.
So we're teaching people to fish at OCD now, and we want the community to help us. Coach is excited. We're excited. And any partnerships, 7th floor, 222 St. Louis Street. Ring the doorbell. We let you in.
Laci, let's get back to you for just a quick second. Actually, before we do, you said something right there, Kelly, that I think it cannot be emphasized enough. You mentioned within all that some people need to be off the streets. And I think oftentimes in the overall discussion, when we talk about you can't arrest your way out of a bad situation, things become an either or. Either it's law enforcement or it's community development. This is the first time, and this is breaking down the silos as well, the first time I've seen a legitimate partnership where everyone's rowing in the same direction.
Yep. And we have to, and I'll be transparent, and I know Coach wouldn't mind you telling this. Our goal is to create a true office of violence prevention where we attack crime, homelessness, blight, education, and work skills at the same time in one big, huge bundle of resources.
Let's get back to the survey itself. And what I was mentioning earlier, this is not the same as Plan B or 3. Yes. But we do have a lot of the same needs, wants, and hopes and dreams and all that other good stuff. What kind of input are we seeking? What are some of the hopeful topics that we're looking to cover?
So we actually are partnering with a resource called Atlas, where they are some consultants that have worked across the board with other cities. And they're going to bring in their knowledge base on how to best communicate with the community. So we'll have some activities where they're going to be able to prioritize. And I want to give it away because it's actually really fun. But they're going to be able to prioritize with some, I have to kind of give it away, some quote unquote images of resource dollars where they'll be able to use the funding that they receive as an individual. But, it's kind of like how we do in the office and say, okay, with this funding, what is priority for you? This is one of the examples, right?
Okay.
And you'll be able to put, whether that's around blight, infrastructure, whether it's around community development, economic development, but you only have a certain amount of funds that we're giving you, right? Similar to how we receive funds. So we want to know, what would you do with that bucket of funding in real time, right?
Yeah.
And then we're getting feedback, but also it's a visualization for others to see what is priority for other residents as well too. So they can kind of get a glimpse of how we prioritize and how we engage in conversations back at the office as well.
Important to note here, this is we're looking forward here for ideas.
Yes.
This is not a venue for complaint. Like, this is not where like you're going to your Metro Council person to tell them that the street light is out in front of your house.
Correct.
This is bigger picture than that.
It is. So that's what a workshop is. Now we will have our draft of the consolidated, what's called a 5-year strategy, and also our 1 year after we have our strategy, what it looks like for 2025 going into 2026. There's going to be an open comment period. So that is where we receive emails or letters or just any response to the draft that we do come up with the public as well too after this 5-year strategy. And that will also be available on our website at www.brla.gov/community plan.
/community plan.
And let me say this real quick, Brian. Parish wide, right? Like, we're not focusing on just Baton Rouge proper, right? This administration, we are adamant about involving every part of the parish, and we think that that's important. And so I can't tell you that I've ever participated in this or it was on my radar, but we're going to be boots on the ground to make sure that people understand what this is. Our council has been great. I love all 12 members of our council. I joke with them and I say, if you want to call and make a complaint, call them. If you want to call and say thank you, call me, right? But no, they have been awesome. They have a ton of ideas. They are a ton of resources. And so I think this collaboration, I mean, it started with Thrive on the millage, and it's only grown legs. I think this seamless transition of information and ideas, it only grows as we bring people to the table.
And the output's only as good as the input.
There you go.
How much input do we have before public meetings? I mean, how much has y'all's office already gotten?
So right now we received a little over 400 responses via survey. And then now we're working, like Kelly mentioned, boots on the ground with making sure we get feedback from the facilities for those that may, just need the paper application, and making sure that we're just being able to be visible and available and accessible as well too. We're partnered with CATS, where they'll have some flyers, and we have English and Spanish, right? So, we received a lot of feedback where it comes to the surveys online. We want to make sure we're getting input elsewhere as well too.
What happens to the feedback once it comes in?
So we compile it, and that is now our data to pinpoint the prioritization in our 5-year plan. And then we also draft up our priorities when it comes to what that 5-year strategy looks like prior to rolling it out to the community.
How do we make sure, and this is probably more for you, Kelly, how do we make sure that silos remain down? Look, we've seen, when you have a new administration, when you have a new energy piped in, it can be very easy for there to be a lot of energy in a short burst. How do we sustain that burst?
Real relationships, right? Tangible relationships. So like yesterday, I'm in a meeting with Councilman Darrell Hurst, and in walks Diana Payton from YWCA, and then in walks Lori Melanson from BRAC, and then had a meeting earlier that day with Habitat from Humanity, and walked across the street and saw Whitney from DDD. And I think the right people and the right relationships go a long way. I think I have a unique position because I've earned Coach's trust. He understands that my vision is his vision, and we're going to tote that water. So I get a little bit of freedom, and with that freedom, I'm involving other people. It's not our plan. It's not our money. It's not my city. It's ours, right?
Absolutely. And the long and the short of it is, if you want your voice heard, you just got to show up. I mean, the number of people who just stay in their home and say things never change, get up off your couch. They're not going to change unless you change them. They're not going to change unless we change them. So give us the details one more time.
So all of the information is available, www.brla.gov/community plan. You can also visit us. We're on the 7th floor. You want to just come over and set up a meeting with us if you have any questions. If you have any questions, you can also email us at ocd@brla.gov.
Workshop number 1 coming up Tuesday, May 13th, 6 to 7:30 p.m. This one's on affordable, healthy, and stable housing. That's going to be at the main library over there off of Goodwood. Once you get to the library, I'm sure the signs will be. It's probably down that. Go in, turn to the right.
Yes,
down
the large conference room.
If you've been to the Goodwood Library, you know what I'm talking about. You walk in, you turn to the right, you go down the hallway. There's a huge conference room down there. Workshop number 2 coming up on Thursday, May 15th. Community and neighborhood development. If I'm being honest, this is kind of the one I'm eyeing up here. So 6 to 7:30 p.m. at Milton Womack Park over on Florida Boulevard. Guys, I can't thank y'all enough for stopping by this morning.
Thank you for having us. Appreciate you, Brian.
No, my absolute pleasure.